Well, hey, you guys. So it's no secret that financial stress has been one of the leading causes of conflict and even divorce in marriages. And according to a recent study, 54% of people believe that having a partner with debt is a good enough reason to even consider divorce. But what's worse is that the median cost of divorce now has reached over $7,000 or more. So if finances are the main issue between you and the person that you love, you're not making that issue any better for either of you if you decide to bail. But here's the thing, money is a major part of any relationship, but it can be a sensitive and emotionally charged topic to wrestle with when it comes to your marriage. And then you throw in-laws, kids' summer camps, that cost a bajillion dollars, student loans, throw that all in the mix, and you've got a pretty big elephant in the room. So today I want to cover how to talk about money in your marriage without ending it altogether. And I'll be responding to some skeptics online and sharing my own lessons that I've learned over the years at the end. And I'm also going to reveal a time that I recently disagreed with my own money advice when it comes to all of this that we're talking about. So stay tuned for all of that. But first, let's go over a few general principles that I believe in when it comes to money and marriage. So I really do believe that when you marry someone, you become one in every aspect of your life. And the more you see yourself as a team, the easier, honestly, it is to win. And this can be in your parenting. This can be in any topic when it comes to your relationship, but money is also that. When you see yourself as one, that when you both are contributing to the household, whether it's two incomes or one income, but it hits the account and you see this as our money, what are we going to do with it? And you have a plan on where your money's going. Like all of that is just, to me, a symbol that you guys are united, you're building trust, you're communicating. And again, I think this is really important. So even things like combining checking accounts, doing a budget together, having goals together long-term to know where are you heading. Again, you see yourself as a team. And then from like a mathematical standpoint too, you guys, you're going to build wealth faster if you do it all together. You will make progress faster. Now, at the end of the day, you can believe in all of that, but there's still a chance that you and your spouse will disagree. So how do you communicate with your spouse when it comes to finances, even if they don't want to start the conversation? What do you do? So one of the biggest things that you can do when you start off this conversation, I always talk about, is your why. Why are you having this conversation in the first place? Is it because you feel like you're working hard and you feel like you have nothing to show for it? Is it because you're stressed? Is it because you're losing sleep at night? Like, what is the why you want to get control of your money? And then I would also say, go ahead and map out like a high-level plan of what you're thinking. Because sometimes when you start these conversations, it can feel like, okay, then what are we supposed to do? But you could say, hey, I've been so stressed about this, and I just did some quick math. If we tried to pay off debt, we'll use paying off debt as an example. And this is what I saw, as I'm looking at our numbers, like we could be out completely in a year and a half and like have a date out there. Like, this is what we could do. Like, what do you think? Because sometimes, again, having these ideas in a tactical sense really does help the conversation. All right, now before I respond to some of your hot takes from social media, let's talk about that one time that I had a caveat when it comes to this financial advice. Because again, I always talk about you being on the same team, having one checking account, your money being combined. Now, there are some reasons why I would not combine finances and actually say, no, you need to separate them in order to keep you safe. And that's things like abuse, if there's addiction that's not being addressed, if there's financial infidelity and you found out all this stuff, if there's one spouse that is absolutely spending everything and you literally have nothing to save and they won't stop because they're completely out of control. Like, there are these extreme situations, you guys, that you're like, okay, I have to protect myself financially or I'm not going to have money, right? So there is a point there, or maybe I'm going to have to leave, right? If that's the case too. There are parts of this that you do need to protect yourself, and I'm all about that. But again, if you are just a couple, it's like, well, you should never depend on a man. I'm never going to depend on him. Or like, she doesn't get to see what I spend. I work so hard. Or like whatever the thing is, and that's your attitude, just because it's your attitude, get over your attitude. You combine your finances because there's so much benefit to it as a married couple when you are one. If there's not, other issues, big issues like those going on that I mentioned earlier, combine your accounts. Jade Warshaw and I were recently hosting the Ramsey show, and we got this call from a woman who said her husband would not give her the login information to their checking account. She couldn't even log in to see their checking account. And then he would give her money once a week to go and buy groceries and do what she needs to do, basically an allowance. Okay, at that point, you guys, like, that is financial abuse. When you don't have a say, when you can't even log in and see numbers, there are some major issues going on. So people in that scenario, and I even told her, like, give them an ultimatum tonight. Either I have access to our money, or I'm going to the bank tomorrow, I'm opening up another checking account, and then we're gonna have a bigger marriage discussion, because the truth is, if he's acting like this when it comes to their money, he's probably acting like that in other parts of their marriage. So what happens is that money, it reveals too sometimes how things are going on in the marriage. And so you wanna make sure that you do protect yourself and that there are boundaries in place if you have to draw those. And for some people, they do. Now, recently I put a question box on my Instagram stories just to ask out there, okay, if you don't combine finances, tell me why. So I got some really interesting responses. So let's go over some of what you guys said. One person said, we just have different habits. Neither of us are good or bad. We just spend differently. So it's easier to separate. Okay, so my question would be like, that's great that you spend differently, but you each can have your own line item in the budget. Let him go spend differently how he wants, and you spend differently how you want. And then other things, just put in the budget. It's fine. Like, it's okay if you guys are different, that's gonna happen. But at least like do it together and know what's going on. One person said, we have a blended family with different spending priorities for each set of kids. That one is interesting. So what I would say though, for the overall household, I would still have one account. And then if you each had separate accounts, specifically for the kids, again, like if there's alimony and child support, all of that for different kids, I get that. That makes total sense to kind of keep it clean and separate just so you know what's going on. But for the overall house and functioning in that, I still think there's benefit to having one account. I'm still paying off credit card payments, but my wife has significant savings. Okay, so here's my point, that you guys could be moving through this so much faster if you took that savings, because it's not just your wife's savings now, you guys are married. It's your money, there are savings there. Take that and pay off the debt, and then you guys start investing, and it's gonna go so much faster. We've never combined because it's a logistical nightmare. Okay, I could see how, especially if you're two adults and you've been living your separate lives, coming together, it can be exhausting. So there could be some inconveniences at the beginning because you're changing bills or addresses or whatever, but just go down to the bank and open up a new checking account, close an account here, close an account there, put the money in, because the benefit of that is so much greater than the annoyance of trying to put it all together that may take, a few weeks. You're gonna have a lifetime together. So that benefit is so much greater. I've seen the way my husband spends money on my in-laws, and I'm not here for it. We'd fight about it too much. Okay, so some in-law stuff here, which is very interesting. And here's the thing, we would fight too much. A lot of people say that we just separate it so we don't fight. But what you would fight about is the exact issues that you actually want to dig into to have a richer, deeper marriage. Like, you're just avoiding it. And then you're going to get in the habit of avoiding other stuff when hard things come up. Oh, just over here, over here, over here. And again, this isn't to be legalistic about it. This is in order for you and enabling you to have a better marriage. So when you actually put all that out and talk about why it annoys you, what's going on, actually digging into the issue is going to yield a much better, deeper marriage than, again, just avoiding it and doing your own thing. My wife has a really large inheritance and I don't want to impose. Well, that's interesting. Still at that point, I would say, still having one account. And yeah, if there's some legality or something else, with her name specifically, maybe you guys figure that out. But again, having one account when it comes to your life and your everyday expenses, there's still benefit to that. I'm a divorce attorney and I've seen issues this can cause in the long run. That is fair. I'll give that one. I get it. Totally. Absolutely. There's a lot, and even state by state with how the laws are represented, it is pretty wild. It is. But again, going at it, not with that's going to be the end in mind, right? Because that's not how you're going to want to start off a marriage anyways. We've combined savings but separate checking accounts. It's a nice balance of the autonomy and the teamwork. Okay, that's fair. But with separate checking accounts, just because of that, I'm like, is it because you don't want him to see what you're spending or you don't want her to see? At the end of the day, it's like, okay, great. You're spending it on this, you're spending on that, but we're agreeing on where our money's going in general together. I don't care if you see what I spend at Target because that's what I'm going to spend. And it's the plan that we talked about and it's fine. All right, you guys, those were very interesting. And I understand some of the arguments. I hear you. I totally do. But listen, whether you're single or married, combine finances or not, one of the best things you can do with your money, though, is having a plan for it. And that is the monthly budget. So everydollar.com makes this so easy. So give it a try with the link below. And if you're interested in hearing me address a few other financial principles that people love to hate, you'll have to check out my episode on eating at home. Because, it's a radical idea. So remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.